If you find yourself doubting if God is real sometimes, I used to be in the same boat, and maybe this story of mine can help you today. Over a time in my life, from when I was about 14 years old to about 18 years old, I struggled with off and on doubting that God was real. I don't know if it was because he seemed too good to be true, or if I just couldn't wrap my head around everything, but the only way I can describe it is that I believed like 90% that he was there, but trying to believe the full 100% was like trying to break through a brick wall. I've related to this Bible verse so much, Mark 9:24, that says, "Immediately the boy's father exclaimed, 'I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief.'" I felt like this pretty much summed up my struggle. In the same sentence, he says, "I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief." And so for 4 years, this is how I felt. And one thing I noticed is that during the times that I would start to doubt if God was there, I would notice his hand of favor kind of come off of me a little bit. I would feel more sad. I would feel more discouraged. I had less joy. I had less peace. And I think this was God's way of letting me know how much he had been there all along. I had just forgotten to see him. But there was one day whenever I was 18 that I was really beginning to doubt if God was there. And so when I woke up that morning, I was feeling doubt, and I asked God, will you remind me that you're there? And so later that day, I was sitting in the living room on my phone, as one does, and I noticed the clock said 12:21. And 12:21 probably isn't special to most people, but I always like seeing the time at 12:21 because it reminds me of my favorite Bible verse, Romans 12:21. And so when I see the time at 12:21, it makes me think of God, and I feel close to him. And so I just took this minute just to talk to God, to seek him out and draw near to him. And when it had almost been a minute, I found myself wanting one more minute of this time. And so I prayed something kind of crazy. I asked God to keep the time at 12:21 for one more minute. A few seconds later, I watched the digital clock in my living room change to 12:22, but the clock on my phone still read 12:21. But the digital clock in my living room was a little fast, so I wasn't sure. But after it had been about 30 seconds, the clock on my phone still said 12:21, and I was starting to realize that what I prayed for was actually happening. And I'll never forget watching the time on my phone change directly from 12:21 to 12:23, and I knew this was not a coincidence. My phone has never done that since. I mean, it's Apple we're talking about. Their time is always right. That day, however, at 12:21, their time was off for 1 minute, so God could show one guy who felt so distant from him just how close and how real he really is. So I don't know what kind of doubt you're going through, if you're doubting something that God can do, or just doubting God's existence in general. But if I've learned anything from my struggles with doubt, it's this: God is never too busy, and he's always there to remind us he's there whenever we need it. I hope this story encourages you today. And this video is actually part 3 of a 7-day series that I'm doing on a book I wrote called A Sound Mind. And this book is about overcoming common mental battles that teenagers face. Because whenever I was a teenager, I dealt with a lot of battles of the mind, but I saw God give me victory and help me overcome every single one. And so I wrote a book sharing my story and what God taught me, in hopes that it can help others overcome too. And so today is day 3 of a 7-day series I'm doing, where I'm talking about each of the 7 mental battles that I cover in this book. And today's topic was section 3 of the book, doubt. If you would be interested in getting this book, it is available on Amazon. Just search A Sound Mind, Jordan Nailhot, and it will come up. I'm excited to do the rest of this series. Come back tomorrow where I'll share a little story from section 4 of A Sound Mind, Fear.